everybody. Oh, hi, Katrina, Veronica. Good to see you. Welcome, everyone. Now, as everyone is arriving here, just inviting you to gently land here in the space. Welcoming you into our container here for this info meeting. Allowing yourself to see if you can arrive here. Allowing yourself to gently and slowly letting go of the day today. Just landing here in this call that you have felt a pull to arrive to. So we want to invite you to see if you can arrive here with your breath fully present for this call, for this calling that you have been feeling and hearing. Just for a moment here, I want to invite you to close your eyes, allowing your breath to arrive here. If you can allow your jaws, your shoulders, your belly to drop and expand into relaxation. Allowing your heart to come in here, your pelvic floor. And just see if you can allow yourself a breath here. Maybe you want to place a hand on your heart, on your pelvic floor. Most powerful and sacred places of your being, your love, your life force energy to create the life that you desire, that aligns with your soul, and to create through you your purpose, your vision. Allowing you to tune in to hear how your heart, how your sex, your life force energy is in you right now. How is it living and circulating in your life? And what is being created with it? Here, just inviting you to, for us all together, take 3 deep breaths before we come back, breathing in and letting go on the out breath. Breathing in and letting go. Breathing in and letting go. So, welcome everyone gently back here into the call. I see familiar faces, I see new faces, and there are people who are not on camera. Hi, Julia, welcome. You're welcome to stay off camera if it feels best for you, and we would also love to see you. So, first of all, welcome to this info meeting. And we always love to hear where you are listening in from, where you're at right now, what country are you in, and maybe just a few words on like what pulled you to this info meeting. So, where are you sitting right now and what pulled you? And I can see we have a walking man, so you are free to not write anything. Um, okay, we have, what do we have here? We have Norway. Yeah, the Norwegian women. Yes. Hmm. We have Aarhus, Denmark. Yes. Germany. Lübeck. Denmark. Copenhagen. Nice to see you. So, UK. UK. Very nice. Okay. So, we are assuming that you have felt some calling to step in here to this info meeting, to meet us, to hear more, to ask some questions. And the questions we will do in the end of the info meeting, we will start by sharing some things. And just to, because we've prepared some slides for you, we've prepared to share a bit of things with you. But we're also curious to hear, are there anything specific that you are really sitting with that you really want to hear more about? Then we would also love to get that into the chat so we make sure that we really serve you on this call. Any specific things, then please put it in so we can feel you. Okay, so while you are doing that, I will start by sharing that we are here today. I am Rhiannon Wild, founder, midwife, going to be main lead here today on this call. We have Celestine, who is co-founder, and also here then we have Luna, Nana, and Jesper, who are stepping in as teacher trainees and also other roles. And they have all been through the education and journey through us and are now here on their evolutionary path to step more in to learn to facilitate this training. And they're also going to share it today. Yeah. So, cannot see the messages here. Okay. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. Uh, okay. Good question, Jos. Yeah, we will cover that. So let's start. Um, yeah, feel more of it resonates. Yeah, because that's what this call really is about, is for you to really feel and feel your alignment with everything around this path and this possibility. Yeah, sexual trauma, we will cover that. Good questions. Okay, so I will bring up some slides and then we will start a bit on the meta level. Then we will present ourselves and go into all the things. So I'm just gonna bring this up on the screen. I'm gonna come into the camera here and we're gonna. Okay. So I want to start by sharing here that we have a little on the text line here, and it says, not just sexology. A complete embodied leadership training for therapists, facilitators, could be body workers or sexologists or whatever that you are already, or just embodiment practitioners and visionary leaders working at the frontiers of sexuality, embodiment, and leadership. And in our path here in our curriculum, all of these things are deeply intertwined. And probably even more so for this coming round. So what we want to start with here is the, oh, no, I'm fucking it up. We want to start here with the collective level. And I am fucking it up. Okay, now I can't see anyone, but I hope, can someone just say a sound that you can see this?
We see
It's
it.
it's
Yeah,
all
I would
good.
see it. I
You
see
can see
it.
the whole
Okay.
screen.
Super good.
So we just want to start on a meta level here because what we are seeing that is happening collectively and what we are offering as an education is to move through a threshold together where evolution is happening through embodiment. And this circle over here represents the collective, where it represents a meta perspective of the collective, frames and authorities and things that we have been conditioned into. It represents our conditionings, traumas, things where we feel that we are not fully living the life that we are longing for, and that whatever society has created for it, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel aligned. And a lot of people, most of us are being born into this collective field where, we are affected by that. And there is a threshold here of saying, I I really want to step onto a path of my journey. I want to step out and into my deepest, path of purpose, my deep embodiment path. And in a way, this is what we are doing here with TS. We are taking you through a deep personal journey of working through your own shadows, your own, trauma work, working in the fascia in the nervous system, to really stand more solid in your own individual leadership and facilitation, whatever that looks like. And this is, I think a lot of people are feeling this right now. Maybe you can put a hand in the air if you're feeling this, like there is this threshold for humanity where we need to come into our own embodiment and alignment and to really live the life that we want to live and to birth, you know, hopefully something else on the planet. And so this is the journey we're taking you on, and to really deepen your also professional embodied leadership and support to live your unique purpose and support with creating a soul business. And this is really what we are working with, and also using all of this, work to expand into our essence, into our fucking core and our soul to live and lead from our core, and to create a business that is really aligned and where you are able to birth through your unique vision. And this is what we are seeing here on Tantric Sexology. We come with our stuff, we decondition, we de-armor, we clear the stuff through the journey, we stand even stronger in our own leadership. And then when we come together, as over here, something incredible starts to happen. And we see this during the education, that when we stand really strong in our unique path and embodiment, we can enter a new field of wholeness, of a collective field of non-interference where everyone is playing a role and there is just a complete new collective field that is arising. And it's really, really beautiful to experience that. And that is kind of, lifting, you know, all our leaderships and all our visions together. I don't know if any of you have from the team anything to share about this. Then you're welcome to say something. Um,
I want to say something.
yeah.
Also, as this little image is showing, it's like we can have our own little circle. We have our own purpose, we have our own path and our own alignment. But when we come together, especially in this education, it's like the process get enlarged. So it's like your own inner process gets like an extra notch of support, and you can say your process speeds up because you come together with other conscious beings.
Mhm.
And we can almost for sure promise that your life will really start transforming massively. I think our students here can recognize that it's like if you were open to crack and let your life be like, okay, now I really want to step into my truth, my power, and to transform, this 1.5 year journey will for sure stir up stuff, which can be difficult, but also incredibly beautiful. And as you can see, the formation of a circle, we really go on this journey together. So we will support you on the way, and everything will be really a process together, even though it's also your own process.
Yeah. And this is also a process of how do you circulate your life force energy, your creative force, and what is it that you want to create in the world? And how we mature, how we are circulating all this creative energy that we have to create, because sexual energy is that. And you really get to on the journey expand your embodied capacity to bring that out. So that is the bigger vision. We really want to make sure that the all that is birthed through you also gets manifested into physical reality. And we are really at a threshold right now where we are awakening to the amount of disconnect that we have, the lack of mature life force circulation. We see that with all the shadow and sexual trauma that's moving forward. A lot of that is because we haven't had a proper trauma-informed and sacred sexuality education in the world, which is the very root of our existence. There is a lack of root level trauma resolution, and there is such a need for professional, facilitators who are trauma informed and leading from embodiment to create this evolution right now, to really work here at the root. And this is really why we created Tantric Sexology, is to really create a solution for this, just deep disconnect that we see in the world, that is generations of, yeah, sexual trauma and disconnect and lack of proper sexuality education, which is then affecting our leadership and our life and what is being created in the world. And more so than ever with AI and everything that's happening, we are here to be the antidote to that. Yeah. And so with Tantric Sexology, our vision is to really create a world where embodied leadership, trauma-informed, holistic sacred sexuality is birthing a new era of professionals where you birth vision to serve humanity into evolution. And that is why we are educating you and really also this year, this coming round, supporting you in creating a business that can serve you. This is everyone that's going to be involved in Tantric Sexology for 2026. And you can see here that Fia is not here. She had a stomach pain today. Jeroen is also not here, and Matthias is also not here. But we are main team and we are teacher trainees here, and Matthias is going to be educational structure, organizational support as primary role for next round. And I think I'll come back here to just start sharing a bit about us so that I can see you. Um, so I am Rhiannon Wild, as I shared with you, and I am leaning on, I think it's around 17 years of professional experience in the field of psychotherapy, de-armoring, trauma resolution work, tantric sexology in the entire curriculum, birthing those bodies of work and educating, yeah, for now, 7 years professionals. So, yeah, there's a long path in this, and for me, you know, all of this work has been birthed through my own journey with really overcoming severe depression, suicide, and coming into full expansion, full, experiencing multi-orgasmic states, Satori states, experiencing through this work how my consciousness, just completely shifted, how my capacity to manifest and leading has been shifting through this work. And what I'm most passionate about is to, really help bring embodied leadership to the planet to help people birth their visions in a sustainable way, in a way where we can really thrive and do it in a way where we're really, circulating our life force in a sustainable way. So I love, seeing all the people who have gone through, who start to create things and birth things, and it's just like my deepest pleasure in life. Or to expand their business or change into a deeper alignment. Like it's amazing. And then of course all the practitioners who are doing work with clients and facilitating, it's just amazing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Then I can take over from here. I'm also one of the main facilitators on this education, and started together with Rhiannon, co-founding, co-creating this education. And my journey started with Tantra 26 years ago, and it's always interesting when we have these like presentations of ourselves, because the way how I do it always changes from time to time. Like now, I feel my focus is different also because we're going to do it very short. But what I can say is that this has always been a very clear calling for me. Even as a young teenager, I felt there has to be something more to life than just what I can see with my eyes. So it was a deep spiritual calling to begin with. And my curiosity into to Tantra was like to connect what I felt in my body, my natural sexuality, my appetite for life, but also very, very deep spiritual calling. And I was like, I wanted that sacredness. And what I grew up with was just seeing this kind of normal way of being a family, and my parents didn't really have that deep passion and connection. And as a child, I was like, it cannot be so, there is no love here, there is no connection. Why are we together? So I wanted to do the opposite. So in a way, it came also out of a lack or out of a pain that I was longing for deeper purpose, deeper connection, and for me, love and sex had to be something different than the normal family life. And that took me into a journey of studying more the ancient tantra. So I moved to India, like really going deep into meditation, breath work, energy work with my body, and essentially also with my partner. So you can say my journey started very transcendent. I wanted to go into the light, away from the pain of being a human being. Like I just wanted that beautiful spiritual connection. And then in my late 20s, I was like, you know what? I think I also need to go the other way. And I became more curious about, okay, I cannot just escape the pain of humanity by being in love and connection with the divine, and having an amazing lovemaking. Like I was very open because I didn't have any kind of past deep traumas in my body or sexuality. So it was easy to feel all these like amazing orgasms, like hours and hours of magical lovemaking. But I was still running away from my emotional pain. And there, my curiosity for therapy and trauma work and shadow work started to appear. So from I was like in 20s until, yeah, the next 10 years or so, it was really going down, 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 down. Body, pain, releasing things, going into therapy, and taking an education as a psychotherapist and a couples therapist, and then building more and more onto body work and trauma work. So today I combine all these things. It's not about making one or the other path wrong, but for me to really combine that holistic approach, to dare to see all the things we don't want to integrate in ourselves. That's where I'm gonna go. So you can always find me where I don't want to be, and putting a lot of passion into that. Playing with life. So I'm very deep in my approach to this work, but I'm also very playful. And I love to bring the light into the dark, and we can laugh with our own inner demons, and we can release it, and we can become more whole human beings. So I have a clinic in Copenhagen where I work with these things, and then also teaching with Rhiannon and the rest of the team, and loving, loving, loving the work. We have a very deep foundation of trust and connection. So I can say we really walk the path. Everything we're giving you and teaching you here is something we practice. Yeah, apropos shadow work, we also check ourselves. So you can be sure that what we are giving you is something we live it, we embody it. It's not just like a piece of paper, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. So
And what's maybe nice to know is that you and I, Celestine, we've been facilitating together for 6 years or so,
mhm.
and we are also very close girlfriends. So we really know each other really, really well,
Yeah.
which also is a part of the team dynamic. It's like we are very, very close. Yeah. So I'm just gonna share here a little bit on the behalf of those who are not here.
Mhm.
So we have Fia, who she was actually on the first round of Tantric Sexology, and then she went into the teacher training, while she has also been building her own business, her own body of work, her own community, her own festival. She is now a main leader of community and festival in Copenhagen. Um, and she's really been going from, having a business that was not fully in alignment to creating a life that is really in tune with her deep feminine essence. And she's really passionate about, yeah, the feminine, and she's really incredible in feeling the field and leading groups. Yeah. Then we have Jeroen, who is from Holland, and Jeroen is also teaching with me in the de-armoring education. He is coming with a lot of embodiment. He has a background in 25 years of martial arts and de-armoring work, body work, myofascia unwinding, and he's really, a part of the education to bring, the embodiment when we start to go into some de-armoring work, the myofascia work to really open up the body, and also some of his martial arts stuff. He has a quality of deep presence and experience in his system. Then we have Matthias, who has been also on the education and been a part of 2 rounds and has been deep in the team, creating with us and educational structures, organization. And he comes from a lot of leadership with businesses, helping structure. So he's been a solid backbone to deepen the foundation and structures of everything. Yeah. And then we have these two amazing beings here who have went through the education and now are stepping in as teacher trainees. And you are also coming in with a lot of existing experience and work and a lot of capacity. So there is really I feel a lot of extra holding and support for everyone in this upcoming round. So I'd love for you to share, whoever want to go first, just a little bit about you guys and maybe what has been like, what has your journey looked like? What has really been the outcome, so to say, for you guys? Yeah. Who wants to start?
I can start. So for me, joining this education has like made a fundamental shift in my life. Like when I look around in my life and different life areas, nothing is the same as before I entered this education. And that is mostly because of the state inside of me. My capacity and the way I'm being in this world after doing all this embodiment work and being in this space of so much love and presence, but also allowance for all the shame and all the shadows that I brought into that space, just being allowed to express that, to dance with that, to be with that. Like it had made me so free in the way that I am in this world and that I express myself and I have the courage to do stuff that I have never ever thought that I would be doing, taking leadership in new areas and yeah, connecting with my relationships in a much deeper way than before. Yeah, that's me.
Maybe Luna, you just want to share a few words around your professional path, just so people can feel that. Uh,
Yeah, for sure. So I have worked with clients for quite some years, but I started with a more like mind-based approach. And through this work, I have moved more into somatic work and seen the effects, results of that. And that is not to be compared at all. Other than that, I work a lot with more like mind-based systems as human design and stuff like that, and trying to bring more embodiment practices into that work, and really enjoying mixing those worlds and that. Yeah.
I can share a little bit. Um, I was just reflecting now that you shared, Luna. There's this, when I think about how I entered the education, it felt like something I'm tapping into some like, it was an intuition I had that I needed to go in this direction. There was something that just called me this way. And it's still very strong with me, like until this day, that I stepped in without fully knowing what process I was about to enter, but then sitting here on the other side of it and really like still integrating, digesting it all, and being in this like, wow, so much has just shifted, and so profound insights I have gained in myself. And I think the biggest one I'm sitting with right now is this moving away from a way of being with myself that I had to fix certain areas of myself. So really coming with a lot of unprocessed trauma and stuff I needed to look at, and looking at it from a different angle, and learning how to be with it and allow all of it to be there instead of trying to heal myself, which was a lot of what I was doing before. And that's also what I came from. I have my background in more mind-centered coaching. I also have a doula background and more of a somatic movement therapy. But I really came from working with people from a very, very mind-centered place, and not actually allowing a lot of that intuition that still like was there, but I was not in touch with it. So it was also a different kind of working with clients and being with clients and holding spaces, because I did not allow that more intuitive way of working to actually be there. So it was both this bringing in more somatic awareness, more embodiment into the space I'm holding, while also allowing for that more deeper wisdom that comes from actually going through all of this work myself on the education, like doing all of the work to be able to hold space for all of that. Yeah.
I can also share a little bit. Um, Everything that Luna and Nana says resonates, and my journey has been that I basically feel that I show up to everything in life differently now. I can I can now sense my nervous system, and realizing now how much I've been showing up from the sympathetic side, the fight and flight out of the nervous system, so much of my life. Um, Tantra has been a big part of my life. More than 20 years, it has attracted me. I studied it, I practiced it. My way into the education was actually that Celestine has been a tantric guidance for me for many, many years. And alongside that, I've been building a business for 15 years. I have 11 employees. I work in a very corporate environment, which is so much fast nervous systems. And what I'm realizing now is that my presence now, just entering a room, just being in a meeting, calms a room, calms people's nervous systems. And I'm approaching now everything from an embodied mindset. And I'm now working to merge what tantric sexologist is given, especially both in the professional, but also very much in the personal development side, merging that with a life in corporate world where I'm deeply passionate to translate some of these old ancient philosophies, practices, and finding a way of actually having people who are living so fast paced, bringing them into their bodies and feeling their life purpose. So today I'm both running the business, my own business, and I'm working as a mentor and a coach. And what is also very new to me is, together with my girlfriend, I'm hosting my first tantric workshop for couples, which is also fantastic. So I could talk for hours around this has changed me, and I would not have come to an end in entertaining and sharing. Just saying it has been profound outside of everything that can be expressed with words for me. I'm a more conscious dad. I'm a more conscious son. I'm a more conscious friend, more conscious brother. And yeah, it's maybe been one of the best decisions I've made in my life to enter and proceed. Yeah. And happy to share more and answer questions if questions are there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing, guys. And I feel like saying that we have said yes to Luna, Nana, and Jesper to step in as teacher trainees because they all have an immense capacity to actually hold a very deep space and a very present space. So we're very much looking forward to dive into that with you. And yeah, let's move on a bit here. Because when you are choosing an educational journey, it's quite important to understand, what are different paths, what are different sexologist educations. And I did a fun experiment the other day. I put all the Tantric sexology curriculum into Claude, which is an AI, and I asked it to compare our curriculum and everything we're doing on TS with all other sexologist educations in Europe. And um, it wasn't because I didn't know that, but it really stood out how we are different from everything else out there. We can kind of put sexologist education into three. We have clinical sexology, which is a lot about symptoms and finding treatments, and the more medical approach to things. And then we have more coaching based or therapeutical based sexology, where you work more from a mind place. And then you have somatic sexology, which is kind of, yeah, going into the somatics and teaching about somatics. What sets us apart from all of that, where we are closest, is of course the somatic sexology. But it is that we actually take you through a rewiring process, like your own personal embodiment journey as a foundation for the professional. So, of course, this is a professional education, and you're going to receive a lot of professional experience, but the foundation is your personal embodiment. And that is really what we see from a nervous system perspective, from a fascia perspective. That is what is building the foundation for you being able to hold a deep space, for you to facilitate, group spaces with depth and trauma informedness. And then it is that we dive really deep into, the whole tantric sexology embodiment, like opening your body to more pleasure and circulation of your life force energy in a way that is building energy and building life force energy for you to create with. We are moving very deep into the trauma awareness work and actually taking you through the 5 stages of trauma resolution. What most educations are doing is that they are today working at the first couple of levels, which is the unconscious phase and the awareness phase, and a little bit into the feeling phase. But what we are doing is we are also moving through the actual rewiring phase and integration phase. So a lot of, educations and spaces are not really working with these layers of an actual rewiring. So in that sense, we are going quite deep into embodiment along the journey. Yeah. And here is, you can read this after, you can get the slides, but this is also just to give you a overview of how we stand out. It is just to mention a few things here. We really work with giving you root level somatic tools to guide clients into what are their symptoms or their issues really about. Um, yeah, we have a deep emphasis on really ongoing integration, because this is where, there is a lot of tendency to, we go through things and then we don't really implement and integrate it into our lives. So we work quite a lot with that. We also weave many different modalities, and I'll show you here. So in Tantric Sexology, we are really weaving from this wholeness perspective. There is not one truth, but there are many different types of works, and also our own body of work that brings, a wholeness solution to things. So we are weaving in Tantric Sexology, somatic psychotherapy and essence-based embodiment, nervous system work, polyvagal theory, Neo Tantra and ancient Tantra teachings, neuroscience and epigenetics, sexology and anatomy teachings, and then our own really comprehensive tantric sexology and conscious relating work. And this is also one of the things that makes us different, is that we have created our own body of work, our own educational material. You're not just getting books to read from other people. We have really built our own body of work, which includes comprehensive trauma rewiring wisdom, soft de-armoring approach, and myofascial release. And for your question, was it Yon or something? Yos. I would say that there is, I mean, it all depends on your unique journey, like what you are being invited in to go through. But from a teaching perspective, I would maybe say pleasure, trauma. I would say maybe it's, I don't know, Celestine, what do you think? 60-40, maybe 60 pleasure, 40 trauma.
I
Uh,
mean, we will show later like what the modules, the 6 modules contain of, but we have one module which is really mapping out the trauma work. And then we have 2 full modules, which is about tantric sexuality. So in that way, you can say there is more focus on how to open for the pleasure, the circulation, and
yeah,
teaching new tantric sexuality methods. But we have from the fundament, the whole mapping out of your patterns, and giving you all the trauma tools in the very beginning. And in that way, there is less teaching about the trauma, but it is also the fundament, which is kind of weaving out throughout the whole education.
yeah.
So it depends, is your focus on the teaching or is it more in your own journey and embodiment? So you cannot really separate it fully.
No,
Depending on where are you in your journey and your focus, what is your interest? But material wise and teaching wise, the trauma is maybe, yeah, 20-30%, and the pleasure is
yeah.
50-60, but still you can't really put it that that
Oh,
sweet.
it's difficult to say.
Yeah.
Um, and I think this is also just important to um, kind of, because there is a lot of clutter in a way on the words tantric sexology. It's been used in many different ways, and
Mm,
and it's hard for us to find a proper word for this education.
mm,
But it's good to know that it's our own body of work and unique combination of many things that
mm,
makes our education. So try and erase what the meaning of those words are for you.
mm,
Um, and then we, of course, have the surrendered and embodied leadership work that is ongoing, and the soul business stuff. I will just go back
mm.
here.
Yeah, I feel to add one little thing here because I think
Yeah,
there is so much focus on what is Tantra and sexology, and there can be an overfocus on a more old perception of what is Tantra and sexuality.
Yeah.
I think a very unique approach in our education is not so much the what we're doing.
The how.
There's so much methods. Don't worry, you will get everything, knowledge and methods, but the how we approach these things are very different. It's very slow, it's very healthy, it's very harmonious based on your individual timelines. What are you ready for?
Mm-hmm.
And that how is much more important than the what you're getting.
Yeah.
To really integrate it in your own timeline, in your own pace, to make it healthy for you.
Yeah.
So you don't just come home with a binder full of acrobatic, ancient tantric, sexy methods, and then you're just not ready or your body is not open for it. So the how is very important for us.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is basically everything. It's the how we are teaching you
Yeah.
through embodiment, right? And
Hmm.
this is also just an overview here of how we differ from other educations. So really embodied experience and professional experience, and bringing, teachings from the East, we could say, the newest science, epigenetics, psychotherapy, yeah, trauma, wisdom, our own experience here as well. And then the West, we have all the ancient wisdom, and the tantric lineage where it originates from. And based on this, we really anchor in the values of, instead of coaching people or mentoring people, we are teaching you how do you guide clients into their own somatic wisdom. How do you empower someone from a bodily perspective to,
Hmm.
release and rewire and come into their, pleasure and their sovereign power and their life force, like for real.
Hmm.
That is what we are teaching you, how to actually do that.
Yeah, instead of just giving you an ABC system, hoping you can squeeze everybody down to one box, because in essence, you can never do that.
Exactly.
Not if you want to honor the individual humanity and also yourself. Like, what is your flavor as a facilitator?
Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but when we look at trauma and how trauma and armor in the body and the fascia, the nervous system is affecting us, then we also, in the world, we have to go through the body to rewire it. So that's why we are really focused in the somatics, because that's where we can really change things at a root level. We are trauma informed. We really work with this with feminine based spaces where we really go slow, we tune in. Of course, we also work with transformational approaches that are more full on, but with a lot of framing. And we teach you how to do this so you can hold spaces that are really clear in the framing, and you make sure that people don't go into re-traumatization and stuff like that. So we give you all that body of work for you to facilitate in that way. Holistic, non-interference, sex positive, high level integrity as a professional rooted in Tantra and science. Yeah. The education has 3 layers, and there is the personal layer, that is the foundation. There is the professional layer, which we are already starting with on the first module, to really dive in there. And then there is the soul business purpose layer, which also will start this round from the beginning, so you can really also start build. And then we have the community and interpersonal space and the group field and the group body, and where we are at in Sweden, in the forest, when we are at the modules, it's really creating a deep relational field there. So for this upcoming round, normally we have after the education ends, we have soul business support, but now we have added this actually from the get-go, from a soul business collective online space, but also there's going to be mentor calls or mastermind calls from month 5. So you can really start build. So that has, I would say, added a lot of value. And also what we are seeing people are really needing now is to really build a sustainable soul business that feels in deep alignment. I have a lot of experience in that, and I'm also helping a lot of people with their businesses. And what's really gonna be deeply serving is because a lot of people, when we work with our purpose and bringing our business out, no matter where we are at, if we are starting or we have found a journey, it's always the issues around: do I dare to speak up? Do I dare to be seen? Do I dare to own my value? The fear of really being in our power and to be seen. And so these are things that we are working with anyway on the 1.5 year. So now we are in this round gonna kind of take it to the next level and start, utilizing the whole process to move some of these layers as we go. So I'm very excited about this. So here now we comes to the modules, and the modules are there are 7. 6 of them are in Sweden, and the first one is really the foundationals, where we start to take your body through all the energetics of Tantric Sexology, the non-interference, the presence, the awareness, the circulation, all the things, starting to build your own self-pleasure practice, start to map your sexual timeline, start to work with clients on that. So this is a really nice module to really build your own embodiment practices as well, and really get into Tantric Sexology. Then we have module 2, which is all about the trauma work, going really deep into that, into your own process and how to hold space and facilitate space with that. Because, what we are saying is we cannot work with the body or sexuality without really working with being deeply trauma informed as professionals. The time now collectively is really, really calling for professionals who embody trauma informedness. I think we all are aware of that. And there was a question around how do we work with sexual trauma? And there is a whole, in a way, protocol or body of work around that. But it is really to understand clients' unique timeline, because in the body of work of sexual trauma, there are many different types of sexual trauma, and we teach you how to really look what is the client coming with, when did it happen, who was involved, where are they at their journey, and what approach is needed for this client, because depending on where they are at on their journey, many different things can be needed. So we really teach you how to be very clear on where they're at on the journey. And when it comes to Tantric Sexology, we are inviting you to work with clients who have gone through talking therapy. They have released shame around what has happened to them, and they are ready to start releasing some of the stuff somatically. We also don't invite you to work with really severe cases. It needs to be clients who are, have some capacity to move through the somatic layers. It can look like, a lot of boundary work, a lot of getting them into expressing through their voice, bringing them more into active client before you actually even start touching them, because a sexual trauma has happened through forcing, right? Something has happened, and there very often we see a freeze or a dissociation response or a fawning response. So we need to make sure that the client is actually able to start, engaging and expressing and voicing their trauma, or their needs and desires before we start touching, and that we really bring our clients into empowerment, so that the trauma can actually rewire. So our rewiring methodology is about giving the client an opposite experience of what happened. So really giving the nervous system imprints to feel even more safe and give these opposite experiences so the trauma can fully rewire. Yeah. Okay, so then we have module 3, shadow work, module 4, Tantric Sexology 1, where we start to really dive into much more pleasure work here. And then we have a whole module around conscious relating. We have a whole module here, Tantric Sexology 2 and Surrendered Leadership. Then we have the certification module. There are 2 supervisions. There are soul business support throughout, and access to our online space and all the HIA community. This is just to show you here that this is the binders that you're going to get with all the professional material that we have created ourselves. There are around 50 professional somatic methods and professional practices to guide clients, and also some group work. There is a video library with some of the practices, and access to online community platform. Here is some of the people, some of the community, a network. We see a lot of people, becoming very close friends, and there are people who find a partner. There are co-working things that are happening, or collaborations. So it's really beautiful. Then on a more practical note, this is what you're gonna move through. And a question here that we get quite often, like, how much time should I set off? It's around 4 to 5 hours a week that we recommend. So that's maybe nice to feel like with everything. These are some pictures from Sweden where we have the 6 modules. We are inside of this beautiful, incredible yurt, which is like so grounding and calming and gives a lot of depth to the process. There is a lake and a sauna where you can swim, and really on the modules, just like put your phone away and just completely dive deep into the work. And these are some of the huts where you are sleeping in the forest. So maybe you have some words on it, Jesper or Luna or Nana, how it is.
Yeah, I can share that the location was such a major part of holding my personal process. So being just in nature, away from everything, and having water, sauna, and amazing food. Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine going through this education without being held by the forest and this location. I really appreciate it.
Then, of course, there are endless things that, going through this journey that can be created based on your essence, based on your alignment, what it is that's really calling you. There are no limits. If it's one-on-one session, group facilitation, more like sexual, tantric sex education, online programs you want to create, events. If you want to, I put this in future-proof your existing business. We are seeing that the more people come into alignment and really work from an embodied wisdom place, the more magnetic we become. And yeah, I believe it's really a big part of what is gonna future-proof us coming time. Leadership development, couples work, and so on, based on your alignment. Yeah, we really, in terms of certification, we are certifying everyone based on embodiment and not just attendance. So a lot of educations are giving a certificate, for everyone. What we are doing is we are really making sure that you have embodied the things, and we are also giving you 3 years actually to complete. So you can do after 1.5 year you can certify, but if you need more time, because embodiment is, an organic process. So if you need more time, you actually have 3 years, which gives a lot of breath and relaxation. And we are, with HEA, we are really building an academy that stands for a high level of integrity. So getting the certification also really means that you have our approval of being trauma informed and your somatic approach and a high standard of professionalism working with clients. Yeah, so there are different things: getting on the website, getting a certificate, being a part of the network, job opportunities, and so on. Okay, so now we are almost at the end, guys. Before we come to questions, here is just a little bit around the investment. Right now we have the early bird and the accommodation and food on top. Normal price is 109 plus accommodation and food. And it includes all the soul business support throughout. So you have a complete path with different ways of payment here. We have pay in full, 3 rates, deposit plus rates, and then we also can work with individual payment plan. But because you are here on the info meeting, we are giving you a gift of 9,000 kroner discount. So if you choose to apply, and if it feels really in alignment before the 1st of June, then we are giving you this extra discount, and you can use the code INFOMEETING. And then when you have applied, we have 1 hour call with you to really, get to know you, to make sure that there is alignment. And it's, of course, a non-binding process of applying. It's a both way, thing that we really want to make sure that we get to know you and feel you and make sure alignment is there. So now we come to the questions. Yeah. Okay. It's a lot of talking, a lot of information. We actually had a lot more slides, but we want to make sure we have time for your questions now. So you asked, so what's the total after discount? So that will be 119 for the full year plus VAT. Yeah. And thank you so much for giving a relatively concrete answer. Yeah. Well, it's never concrete with, I think was it the sexual trauma? No, it was the pleasure and yeah. Yeah, it all depends on your individual timeline, what it is that you have to meet. Okay, Rune, you are asking, I want to know more about the details and approach of Tantric Sexology course in order to feel whether it resonates. I plan to work with embodied consciousness, and I believe it could potentially be a powerful combination. Yeah, I'm curious, Rune, if you feel complete or if you feel like you are missing some pieces that you would like to have deepened out.
Yes, I do have this feeling. Can you explain a bit? I have this feeling like there are quite few modules on the course. Can you explain a bit more, like how, why have you chosen this amount of modules? That's what I'm curious about.
Mhm. So you mean the 6 residential modules?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean the depth and the rewiring that we are able to go into with live modules is just out of this world. You know, we have we have a lot of reading material, but it's what we really want to focus on here is that you get the transmission and the embodied experience, and that we can only do when we have a certain amount of live days. And that's where we really go fucking deep um, into the personal layers, into the professional layers, and I get that it might feel like quite a lot, but it's also over 1.5 years. So I think you will feel that there is this like this wave and natural rhythm. Maybe you can speak into that, yes, Paluna, Nana, how it feels.
Yeah, I
Yeah, for
also just,
sure.
yeah, you
Oh,
want to say something, Luna, and then I want to add something after.
yeah, I just wanted to say like those 6 modules are like 5 days long, and like it feels like a month when you're there. Like we go so deep, so much is happening and moving and circulating. So a lot will happen in these 6 modules, and the rhythm of it being like every third month is also enough time to digest and really land and embody what you learned on the module before you are receiving new information. And that is the biggest difference in a way, that it's not only mind, like I understand this, but we also get time to really integrate it into our life and that.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And actually we had so many talks about, I mean, is it too short? Should we make it 3-year journey? Like we have really thought many times what is the best package. And I don't think we can do it less. I mean, both with the depth on the modules, but also as you mentioned, Luna, you need that time in between to integrate the knowledge and the methods in your own body, but also how do you then pass it on? And so I really don't think we would be able to do it less if you want it to be proper. Because of course there are educations where it's like fast forward a smaller way, but then it's maybe also a bit more surface.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Dalia, you are asking, can you share the schedule of the residential modules? So typically you come on a Wednesday, and then there is a sauna and time to land. And then we start with an evening pass. And then the days you wake up, there is a morning practice. There is something guided in the yurt. You go down and you kind of just like release the night. And there is a delicious breakfast, and then we have the first module at from 10 till 1, and then there is a break with lunch and a pause, and then an afternoon pass, and then dinner, and then we almost always have an evening pass as well. So it's 5 days of quite full, but the way we work is we always feel into the field. We always work with the group body. So yes, we have something we are taking you through. There is a certain plan in one way, and we are always feeling the feminine. We are always feeling the field. How do we move with this group? What's coming up in the field? Do we need to adjust? And so on. Then, yes, everything is in English. All the material is in English. And the online space, we're going to build that out to become even better. But there are, online videos for most of the practices, the professional methods, so you can rewatch them. There is also personal video material for your own practices, meditations, guidance. There is a lot in there. How often are the face-to-face meetings? So retreats or the modules are every third month. Then we have 2 supervisions of 3 days happening somewhere. Luna, du er så genial. Du bringer lige... Ja, tak.
Practical details.
Yeah. Then you have a body group, you practice with each other, you practice with clients. We have an online Zoom meeting every month where we meet the whole group. And so there are different things in the education but face to face, it's a little bit more than every third month. Katrine, what does it mean that the space is
Not me.
Okay, Veronica, the sex is sex positive. Well, it's more a value that we have, which is, as a tantric sexologist, we are inviting you to learn to relax with everything that is around sexuality. So no matter what clients are going to bring to you or what life is bringing, that you have a capacity to be with it. And that is what it means to be sex positive. It also means that, for example, on the shadow module, we will look at, are there places in your life where there is like you have a door closed to certain areas or something, and why is that? And maybe there is something behind there that could be interesting to look at, to kind of integrate. Maybe there are some shadows and some traumas, and that work is important because it gives us a conscious relationship to also what clients bring. So we clear out as much shadow and as much shame as possible from client spaces. And it's also something people feel when we hold professional spaces and when we facilitate and when we show up in life. The more, the relaxed we are with everything, and the more rooted we are in all of humanity in a way, in our bodies, the more people feel like, whoa, here I feel fucking safe and relaxed. So that's a part of the practice. Yeah. Dahlia, you write, I meant the actual calendar dates. Okay, Luna, and you are giving that in. Very nice. I'm living in New York, so I'm trying to figure out if it makes sense for me. And okay. Amazing if you are coming in from New York. That would be nice to have some New York vibes. I mean, we have had people flying in from Australia, from Guatemala, from Mexico, from Spain, from Holland, from Norway, Sweden. Yeah, England, everywhere. So we are really an international education, but of course, most students are Danish, Sweden or Norway, because we are kind of placed here. Um, so yeah, you're very, very welcome, no matter nationality or where you're coming from.
It might, though, take a little one extra day of landing, not to be totally jet lagged after such a long travel. So I would say it's more about finding a harmonious way with the distance, so you're not completely drop dead tired, and then you can't really go into the work. So, but I mean, take a day or extra, and yeah, so welcome.
So, Jos, you have another great question here. Do you look positively at polygamy or polyamory? And yes, and we also don't. So it's a yes, and we also don't really include much about this in our curriculum because we are not so. It's not so interesting for us with the titles and the frames of things. It's more how do we show up? Am I aware of my shadows, my traumas? Am I, leading with a certain awareness in that and an embodiment of the tantric sexology, the embodiment of it. So whatever relationship style you choose, yeah, it's completely, free and without any judgment or, yeah.
Yeah, over time we have like realized that we work less with gender focused things or concrete sexuality or forms of relating, but we work deep on relating from a place that feels good. So you can say it's all free to be explored. We won't judge it. We won't say we won't prefer a certain form of relating, but more guiding each one of you of what feels good and true to you. Um, yeah. So we're not pro and we're not against. It's more up to the individual to explore that.
Dalia, for the tantric part, do you offer hands-on training for yoni and lingam massage and sexual touch in general? So, yes and no. There is some conscious touch practices in tantric sexology where you can work with rewiring and creating a sacred experience for someone to really rewire their relationship to their heart and their genitals. But we don't offer like a sexual massage type thing during this education. It's not a part of this education. On the de-armoring professional path, we teach, how to give pelvic de-armoring, both for male body and female body. But we don't really have, lingam massage work in our curriculum. There is pleasure touch. There is learning how to channel unconditional love, different types of tantric touch in this education. So, there are guided parts of the education and there are touch-based parts of this education. So you can find your alignment. And in the touch-based part, there is, work on tantric touch and pleasure touch and different types of tantric touch. But the whole yoni lingam thing, it's almost like a training on its own, and that's why we for the de-armoring stuff we do that in the de-armoring professional.
And maybe it's good to really understand clearly that this is not like a tantric sexologist body worker training. You don't become a tantra masseur after this education. So it's more like you become a tantric sexologist who can guide people somatically and open with some light touch practices, but you don't become a full tantra masseur after this education. So this is something you would have to take on the side.
And I think it's also important to say here that all the people who've been through, they use this education differently. Like there are so many different ways that you can use this to work and find your unique alignment. So Tantric sexology is really a deep body of work, but it's not necessarily a title if it doesn't feel like it's fully aligning for you. But you can really use it in so many different ways. Yeah, Melissa.
Um, I am trying to understand about the course. I am a personal psychotherapist, and sometimes I get clients that they may want to work, in their sexuality or their sexual trauma. And then when I get to understand with the last bit that you spoke is about this is a somatic embodiment training in which you can facilitate and help others to connect with their bodies or connect with their own traumas or connect with their own sexuality. This is what I'm trying to understand because I check many courses in Europe and I see you had the most approach and what I understand, but sometimes I get confused because the question that the other person throw on there about the yoni massage and all of that, I'm trying to think, are you doing this? Are you not doing this? And you coming with the answer that this is not. And I'm trying to understand exactly what is about the training, and as I am psychotherapist, how can I use this training in my own work with clients who comes with whatever in couples and their own sexual life, because I think the tantra, this is my understanding for a reason I get a little bit confused,
Yeah.
is strong as use the sexual context, but I'm trying to understand if this is more about the constructed work, the framework about sexuality and healing and holistic approach with people who come from different backgrounds and issues, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to understand it exactly, but I don't know if it makes sense what I am
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah, it does. And and Melissa, it is really difficult to explain with words like here on an info meeting on the website because it's so broad what we are, so deep and so big what we are doing. And yeah, I get that it can feel a little bit confusing. But for your where you are at with your psychotherapist, I would say that this journey really allows you to go deeper into the body, into the somatics, to work really deeply with the fascia, with the nervous system, to help clients figure out, okay, what is it really at a root level? So when they feel the trigger, for example, in their solar plexus, what is that at about in the root level? And you get tools to how to actually release that from the body. And you get tools around everything related to sexuality, of how they can work. Let's say they have some sort of issues in their relationship or in their own body. You get root level tools on how to help them rewire out of those issues, and take them from maybe performance-based sex or porn-based sex or sex where they feel like numb or there is like miscommunication in their sexuality, or and to really take them into practices as a single person or couples to really come much more in coherence with their nervous system, with the body, with the emotional layers. In a way, we are giving you a toolbox to how to guide clients into a more parasympathetic sexuality where the body starts to really open because there is safety, there is relaxation, there is, authentic communication, so that it feels safe and the body can start to really open to deeper states of pleasure. You get that whole toolbox and you're going to go move through it yourself as well, how to open your body, how to expand pleasure in your body. Yeah. So with the question there around yoni and lingam massage, it's a very specific thing to offer something like that where you're actually massaging the genitals for pleasure. that's a very niche thing, and it's that specific thing is not a part of the education, but we are offering pleasure touch. You learn to touch the body in a gentle way, tantric touch way. If that's a part of where you want to go with your work. Also, I would say you get a lot of body of work around how to work with couples with sexuality issues and how to guide a complex thing like that, because it's not the most easy thing to guide. So you're getting professional tools for that as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just want to make us aware that 1.5 hours has passed. I know there was some business questions from Rune, so if we go 5 minutes past time, I just want to, if someone has to go, of course, you're welcome. This will all be recorded, so you can also watch it after. And if you want to stick around so we can answer Rune's question, of course, we will stay. But also want to respect people's time here.
Yeah. I just want to make sure, Melissa, did that land more clearly in you?
Yes, it does. Yeah, thank you.
Can I add something just very quickly to this?
Yeah.
I was sitting with this notion of, as I also heard you expressing, Melissa, a confusion maybe around this, where does Tantra fit in here? And we all have different understandings or perceptions of what Tantra mean for us. I just want to bring in this notion I have of Tantra in my life is also this allowing everything to coexist or to be with everything that is. So it's also more of a broader philosophical understanding, if you call it that, or something. It's more like a way of experiencing this kind of work through a lens of how can I allow all of this to be in my own personal journey and in the professional work that I do. So allowing clients to be in their sexuality with all that there is. That is like one understanding of Tantra for me, at least. So it's also this very like practical, but it's also the broader sense of the philosophy behind it.
Okay, so Rune, how do you support people taking the course in enhancing their soul business? So creating a soul business is, many different things we go through. But what I can say is that one of the things that I see people mostly struggle with is to really create and live from their very core, like who I really want to be and what I really want to create in this world. Trusting our hearts, our intuitions, and creating a life from that place. And there is a deep fear there for us to step out into that. And so what the deepest work here is to really, practice how can I be more visible? How can I speak up for my truth? How can I expand my essence and my core to really start creating from that place? And that is one of the most vulnerable processes we can go in, because our biology is saying, like, I will risk die. I will risk being rejected from the group here when I step out and I really share who I truly am. So that is a part of the deep work. And then on top of that, it is, of course, starting to become visible, starting to share your voice on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, where it is, and to build and train that muscle. And because creating a soul business is all about you expressing and creating from your core, but also for people who feel resonant start to coming into that field of yours. And that is building trust. And in order to build trust, we need to show up and share the spaces that we are offering. And so we will, along the journey, really work with how do you start speaking up? How do you start, making yourself more visible and sharing? And a lot of this is also energetics. The deeper we go into embodiment, the less, in a way, we have to do, because people feel our energy. People feel, oh, here is a person that I feel I can really trust. And so the energetics and the action really goes hand in hand on the journey. Then it's about, how do you start framing your work? How do you standing your value, the pricing, offer creation, offer suite, so that you can really build a sustainable business with multiple types of offerings that makes you receive and not deplete your energy. So it's many different things, Rona, but it's we will go step by step, and we will take it step by step. Yeah. Okay, Dahlia, you write, how can we rewatch and record version of this meeting? I will send it out as a replay, and I'll also send you the slides. And then you are, of course, also always welcome to send an email. We can have an extra call if there are more questions, because obviously this is a big decision. It's a life decision. It's an investment into your path. And so we also really want to provide you whatever you need in order to make a decision. So just reach out, but I will send it out. And Katrina, she is sharing here about your work with, oh, Veronica, you are sharing. Yeah, Veronica, she's also doing the de-armoring professional journey. And yeah, and you are really, yeah, just doing a beautiful share here. Thank you. Okay. Okay, everyone. Yeah, we hope that this gave you some clarity. Again, if there is anything more you feel like I'm sitting with this, just send me an email, reach out, and I will be there to support you. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for you have something, Luna?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if you're sitting and having some question that you would like to ask a former student, I'm also available for that. Sometimes it's nice to hear from someone who has just been on the other side and that. So that is also a possibility.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The same for me.
Beautiful.
And the same for me.
Hmm. Okay, I'll put my email in here, Dahlia. Then you guys can copy paste. There is also a WhatsApp. You get to my business WhatsApp. If you go on the website, there's a little green round one. I have you there, Melissa, right? In the WhatsApp. You found me there. Yeah, what else do we have? Maybe we can send, Luna, can I have you send the link to the page with the application form? So my WhatsApp is this. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful to meet you guys and everyone. Thank you for good questions, and nice to see some of your faces. And thank you for this call.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good to meet you. Thank you so much for your presence,
Yeah.
all of you. Mhm.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.